Salve and welcome. Today we are in John chapter 3, finishing up verse 29 and moving on through verse 30. And I believe that this is the end of our paragraph, so this coming Friday we'll have probably our second or third to last contextus rex. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we've got. This is the rubric, everything that we need trying to find. Amicus autem sponsi qui stat et audit eum gaudeo gaudet propter vocam sponsi, hoc ergo gaudium meum impletum est, illum apportet crescere me autem minui. That's as far as we're going to make it today. That is not a verb. Nope. Aha, here we go. Stat, but we got qui, so this is from a subordinate clause, a relative clause from qui quae quod, which we saw above. Stat is third singular present tense, active, and it is indicative. This comes from sto, stare, stati, statum. It is a irregular first conjugation. So this tells us that this is going to be the same form as that one. No need to parse it again. Et audit. Audit is from audeo, audeo, audire, audii, auditum, or audivi. So this one could either be present tense or perfect tense, but otherwise it's going to be the same as this. So same, pres, or perfect tense. Probably going to be present since this one is present. This means who stands, and I know normally you wouldn't translate the relative clause before the main clause. Oh well. Stands and hears or heard. I know how to spell some things. Eum from is, ea, id. This one is the accusative singular masculine form. Neuter would just be id, and feminine, of course, would be eam. Okay, so gaudeo, looks like right here, this ends our relative clause. We finally come to our verb for the main clause right here, gaudet. That's gaudeo, gaudere. I want to say gausi, but that just sounds weird. So gaudet, at the very least, is third person singular. It is on the present stem, and it is active and appears indicative. This could be a first conjugation, but I really doubt it. Gaudat? Maybe. So, rejoices. And now we can move back all the way to the front. Amicus, US right there. This could mean friendly as an adjective if it doesn't have a noun to modify, which it does not. So, amicus is just a nominative, singular, masculine, substantive, meaning friend. Autem just means but. Sponsi, I right there, we know sponsus already is a second declension noun. So this is going to be nominative plural or genitive plural. Since we've got a singular verb right here, nominative plural does not make sense, especially since there's already a nominative right there, and this is not coordinating these two together. So genitive, singular, masculine, of bridegroom. So, but friend of bridegroom who stands and hears him, rejoices, gaudeo. That O right there, that we know that this is going to be either a dative or an ablative singular. So we write both of those down. Singular and gaudium, that's the nominative form, so this is neuter. Took me a moment there to remember, sorry. Now we just need to try both of them, see which makes most sense. But friend of bridegroom rejoices for joy. That would be dative of reference, or but friend of bridegroom rejoices with joy. For joy, dative of reference, versus with joy, ablative of manner. I think manner makes a lot more sense, so I'm going to go with ablative with joy. And there's not a period there. Ignore the period. Moving on, propter, prepositional phrase plus accusative. Terrible plus sign. See, with wokem, sponsi doesn't work as the object of that, so our prepositional phrase ends right here. Wokes, wokis, em, singular and feminine, I believe, on account of voice. Sponsi, so that's going to be the same thing as that one right there. Just pull that down. Of bridegroom. Hoc, ergo, hoc from hic, hac, hoc. So this is going to be neuter, could be nominative, singular, or accusative singular. Let's take a look ahead. Ergo means therefore. Gaudium meam impletum est. Aha, est. We've seen est before, but it's paired up with impleo right there. Impleo, implere, implevi, impletum. So then we've got another passive periphrastic in the indicative. There tells us that this is going to be a neuter verb. Est, of course, is third person singular. Perfect tense again, like we had previously, and it is passive and indicative. We would expect sit if it was to be subjunctive. So, has been filled, or was filled. Now we just need to find what the neuter is. Meum, that one's neuter, but that's an adjective. Gaudium, same word as that one right there, except we've got now our nominative or accusative form. Makes most sense for it to be nominative, since this right there wants a neuter nominative, so that's how we'll treat it. Meum would then modify Gaudium, and hoc would also modify Gaudium, both being in the same case, number, and gender as its attributes. There we go. Therefore, joy, mine, has been filled. Verse 30. Illum, we saw this one before in our previous video, singular masculine accusative. I need to parse it again. That one. Portet, this is a very interesting word, and it really feels like we ran into it not that long ago, but I don't remember. So this one is a word that almost only appears in the third person singular, and it sets up a indirect statement. So illum is not really the object of a portet, even though it's accusative and appears right before it. Instead, illum is going to be the subject of the indirect statement, or accusative, quote, nominative, unquote. So third person singular present tense, active, indicative, regular verb. It is necessary, or it is proper. We would say for that one, crescere, there's our infinitive with our re right there. That's going to be a present active infinitive. Necessary for that one to increase, or that one increases, if we wanted to translate it in the normal way we handle indirect statements, but we can still, of course, just treat it as a infinitive statement. To increase, or that one increases. So since this is present, it's happening at the same time as our main verb, hence the s at the end of that. Me autem, me is going to be ablative or accusative singular. Since we are still under a portet's governance, me as an ablative doesn't make any sense, so another accusative singular, autem just means but, me. And now looking at this one, initially, without a portet there, I would assume that this one is actually going to be a first person singular perfect. However, a portet tells us that this actually has to be an infinitive. And now for early Latin students, they look at that and they go, what? That's not an infinitive. There's no R. And you're right. If it were a present, not a present, yes, a present infinitive, we would expect there to be minuire, but that's not correct because minu is already the perfect stem of this verb, and it's, gosh, now I can't remember. I cannot remember the present. No, it's not the perfect stem. It is the present stem. What is going on with me? So, minuire, if my memory is correct at all, which is highly questionable, we would expect re right there for a infinitive. But since we have no re, this tells us that this is in fact the passive infinitive of a fourth or a third IO conjugation verb. So that right there tells us present passive infinitive. And this verb would normally, I diminish something else. But when it's in the passive, of course, it's reflecting back on the subject, which is our accusative me right there. But me to diminish, or that I diminish, or decrease if you prefer. So there we have it. That is all of our text. Let's go ahead and take a look at it in its own context, and then from verse 25. Probably need my pen. Your very, nope, wrong spot. But friend of bridegroom who stands and hears him rejoices with joy on account of voice of bridegroom. This, therefore, my joy has been filled. It is necessary it's necessary that he increases, but that I diminish, or I decrease. So yeah, it makes sense in its own context. Now from 25. Therefore, an inquisition, investigation happened of disciples of John with Jews about purification. And they came to John and said to him, Rabbi, who was with you across Jordan, to whom you yourself gave witness? Look, this one baptizes, and all people come to him. John responded and said, Is man not able to accept or receive anything unless it has been given to him from heaven? You, your very own selves, give witness to me what I said. I myself am not Christ, but that I have been sent before him. Who has bride is bridegroom. But friend of bridegroom who stands and hears him rejoices with joy on account of voice of bridegroom. This, therefore, my joy has been filled. It is necessary for that one to increase, but for me to decrease or diminish. So there we go. So far, so good. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope taking a look at this has been helpful for you, and I hope that you have a good day. Wale. Hey, not asleep yet? That's okay. I've got tons of other equally sleep-inducing videos for you to watch. Check them out.